going on, everybody? This is Steve from Bloom Audio. Today we're going to talk about the latest from Meze Audio, 105 Silva. Now, I've got Silva right here, and this is dropping a little bit less than a year after the release of their previous headphone in the series, 105 Air. So there's a lot of questions about the similarities and differences here. Two dynamic driver open back headphones from Meze, about $100 apart, with Silva being the more expensive of the two. What's the difference here? What's special about Air versus Silva? Why should I go for one or the other? And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about the basics of 105 Silva itself. And I think this is the tale not just of two headphones here, but I think this is the tale of three headphones, with the 109 Pro offering some insight onto why 105 Silva and 105 Air are the way that they are. So let's go ahead and take a closer look and ask, what is it? Who is it for? And should you buy 105 Silva? So 109 Silva is, as we said, an open back dynamic driver headphone. Costs $499. In terms of the basic construction, this falls very much in line with the current Meze headphones from 99 Classics. A lot of similarities in the build and construction there. Through 109 Pro, they all share a lot of the same DNA. 105 Silva kind of splits the difference between 109 Pro and the original 99 Classics. So the pads, the suspension system, and all of that are closer to the 109 Pro. Does bear some resemblance to 99 Classics, particularly the cables, which are the slimmer recessed jacks that are found on 99 Classics, not the slightly more open one on the 109 Pro, or the flat, non-recessed ones on 105 Air, which I really liked a lot. Now, in terms of specs, 105 Air uses a 50 millimeter carbon fiber reinforced cellulose composite driver, similar to what's in the 105 Air. It's a 42 ohm impedance and a 112 dB sensitivity. The weight is 354 grams, which is about 12.5 ounces. You can drive 105 Silva with just about anything out there. Apple dongle can be fine, right out of your laptop, your DAP, whatever else you've got. 105 Silva should be fine. That doesn't mean it's not going to sound better when you give it a little bit more power, plug it into that desktop unit, for a variety of reasons. But this is a great one if you're not interested in investing in a full desktop stack. You've got a portable DAC, whatever else, and want open back headphones to go with those. Silva is going to be a great pick there. Now, the sound signature is where this gets a little interesting, possibly. Just kind of at a glance, you can check out the frequency response graph here. It doesn't look too different from the Meze 109 Pro, but there are some changes in the mid and upper mid-range there between the two. Listening between 105 Air, 109 Pro, and 105 Silva, what I found is that 105 Silva kind of is the opposite of 105 Air as they relate to the 109 Pro, where Air is a little bit more warm, a little bit more low-end punch than 109 Pro, kind of leans more into that lush feeling that a lot of people still associate with Meze. 105 Silva is kind of on the other side, where it's maybe slightly brighter than 109 Pro and hits with a stronger sense of clarity, definition, and resolution than the 105 Air does. So I think kind of what this is at its most basic level is you take 105 Air on one side, you get 105 Silva on the other side, you mash them together, and with their powers combined, you get 109 Pro. So, who is this for? Obviously, when we get in new headphones, we kind of do a mix between just listening to whatever we want to listen to and running them through some standard reference tracks across genres. If you listen to Bloom Pod, you can hear Matt and Jake talk about some of their favorite reference tracks in a recent episode. And so we've all kind of got our own tastes and preferences and also use these classics. 105 Silva is a headphone that I felt did better with the sort of classic audiophile tracks than it did with my personal collection and preference. If you listen to a lot of classic jazz, I think this is honestly the best genre for a 105 Silva is classic jazz. Trumpets, saxophones, they sound amazing. You get really great articulation in the leads with horns or really fast, nicely textured feeling bass with a good amount of pluck on there too. The whole ensemble always sounds great. Good space and separation there. And there is tiny little bit of warmth in there that I thought was more noticeable on some of those classic tracks. That all comes together for just a fantastic headphone for jazz, particularly, that classic 60s bebop, that sort of thing, Coltrane, Thelonious Monk, even moving up into some, newer stuff like Grover Washington Jr. It's going to sound great here. And other genres that are sort of connected there with vocals. I listened to What's Going On, Marvin Gaye with this set with 105 Silva, and I thought, man, the vocals are just a little bit forward, which can be a good thing at times, but the overall balance and the instrumentation, very well layered, just fantastic listening experience there. I'd also give Silva high marks for classical, film score type music as well. Again, you're getting, considering the price at $500, I think the soundstage is excellent. The natural presentation, great timbre on a lot of these orchestral type instruments, and great layering, separation, the whole deal. This does great with acoustic instruments, classic jazz, other types of instrumental ensemble music. Where I thought Silva did come up short was those more modern tracks that, just what I would typically listen to if I'm not thinking critically about listening. So more a blend of alternative, rock, metal, for some of the other guys, some hip hop and pop and other genres. There are just a couple things that I think it does with those more modern genres that don't work as well. Some of that has to do with the vocal presentation. I feel that in general, male vocals tend to be a bit forward, and on top of that, female vocals tend to be even more forward. Higher pitched female singers, take like a Kate Bush or even like a Hayley Williams from Paramore, they're like end up in your head and it gets a bit sibilant. With some of these higher pitched female singers, it's more prominent in pop rock, alternative type music. And I felt Silva was not really appropriate for that. And the overall tuning balance, I think you're also shifted more towards the upper mids and treble. So what we have here, it's a great technical performer. It's fantastic with instrumental music, great timbre with instruments, but there are elements of the vocals that I think feel a little bit unnatural, and particularly female vocals don't sit well. So this is going to be a great headphone, or again, if you listen to a lot of jazz, classical, that end of things, even a lot of more classic rock and primarily male vocals. It's not going to be a great pick if you listen to more, modern pop, hip hop. That end of the spectrum doesn't play as well with 105 Silva. So with all that considered, should you buy it? So I think the first thing to consider in this sort of $400 or $500 range for headphones, you want something that's going to have a great build and comfort and all of that, is basically which end of the spectrum you're on. Are you on the 105 Air end of the spectrum, where you listen to more rock, alternative, pop, that sort of genre that's going to play really well, a slightly warmer tuning, maybe not quite as natural with acoustic instruments because you can get a little over lush at times, but more of a warm, inviting sound with a little bit more fun in there? Or do you want the slightly more incisive, more technically strong Silva, which is going to give you a stronger sense of separation, better imaging and soundstage, but at the cost of a little bit of that fun? Now, if you want to buy both, you could do that and kind of have one for pop, one for jazz and classical, and that sort of thing. That is definitely an option. I have to say though, for the money, I would probably recommend just getting the 109 Pro if you were thinking about going for both Air and Silva, because this is going to do just about everything that these two do really well, and it's going to do it all in one headphone. We'll say the one thing this is probably missing is that little bit of extra low-end warmth that Air throws in. So, you could make an argument for the two. Generally speaking, my recommendation would be the 109 Pro over buying two headphones that are really good for the money at what the 109 Pro does. So thinking through a number of other products out there right now, when I compare it with something, it's a little bit cheaper, but it's very popular right now, the FiiO FT1 Pro, I think 105 Silva is just a lot more natural sounding to my ears, and it gets all the technical stuff that the FiiO does really well. Also, a nicer build and comfort on that as well. So thinking about like the Hi-Fi Man Ananda, 105 Silva is more natural sounding to my ears. The timbre is stronger than Ananda. Ananda does really get you with that bass slam, but I think the whole presentation of Silva is more natural. What I think Ananda does well here is you do get some of the technical characteristics that Silva has over, say, the 105 Air, but you get that planar slam, some of that other little bit of warmth to it that, again, Silva lacks there. But I honestly think Silva's a little bit stronger in most cases than Ananda for just an overall natural, sort of cohesive type sound. Also worth noting, I think Silva does change quite a bit with different sorts of sources. With a tube amp, especially something on the warmer side, not so much like an OTL, you're going to tame some of that, overly forward sound in female vocals, or balance it out with some warmth. And that is going to offer some improvement there. Even with something like the iFi Gobar Kensei, I felt like that added a little bit of warmth without even using the X bass that improved how I felt about the vocals there. So some of this is going to be, your mileage may vary, and you might be able to pair it with the right source to balance out that sound for your ears as well. Altogether, I do think 105 Silva is a fantastic headphone, specifically for people who listen to a lot of jazz or classical. I think the technical performance combined with the natural presentation in this price range is something really special. While because my listening skews more towards those genres where I think Silva is weakest, I actually have a 105 Air at home that I purchased for myself. So that kind of tells you where I'm at. And if that's you, check out the 105 Air. We did a review on that back when it came out. If that's not you, if you lean towards the more analytical, technical side, but want a headphone that sounds natural and gives you just fantastic all-around performance at this $500 price point, 105 Silva is going to be the one for you. It's a great combination of build, comfort, design, and sound. Thanks for watching. You can check out 105 Silva and a lot of other great products at bloomaudio.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back soon with more high-fidelity audio content.